when I was reviewing the setup, there were some issues we were having. So this is going to be a fixed video. I'm going to sign into the Sccm machine. First thing I'm going to do is change the screen resolution so it's a little larger. Then I'm going to launch the Configuration Manager console. While it's open, I'm also going to pin it to the taskbar. So when you open it up the first time, what you're going to do is get this message about doing an update. So we're going to process that update first. So go to Administration, expand Cloud Services, expand Updating Services, and on the first one, install Update Pack. Accept the end user license agreement. Now, this is going to get fixed later when we get our Windows Update server up and running. That's an issue I'm still working on with the IT staff. And basically all this really is the new version of Config Manager. This is 1702, this is 1610, 1702, and 1706. Right now, we're on 1606. That's what we installed. We just patched that. If you hit refresh, this will say installed. Just give it a little bit, it'll change. The next thing I noticed was when I go to monitoring and then go into system status and site status, I get this error that our management point isn't running. And you can right click, show messages, and then go to error, show error messages. And I'm going to do it for a week. I'm going to look at a week of messages. And if I go here, I can see that it's not having full control of that system management container that we created in one of the first videos. And a possible cause is it has been moved to a different location. Solution is to delete it. Another possible cause is the Active Directory schema has not been extended correctly. So we're going to go look at our DC. Again, I'm going to change the resolution on this VM. If you're doing this from home and your monitor has a different dimension, you might need to change this to something more appropriate for your environment. So if I go to my C drive, I can see my schema was successfully extended. Everyone should have this. So I'm going to close this out and I'm going to go back to the lab. I'm going to insert the Sccm Cd into the DC. Go back to the DC. When I extended the schema, I used the one from the 32-bit folder. If we go into the 64-bit folder, it has the same program, just a 64-bit version of the folder. Hold on, I'm going to pause the video because I have them having a party outside my door. Okay, I'm back. So if I go down here, I can see I have a 64-bit version of the program to extend this schema. I'm going to type E to jump down. Right here. Our schema was fine. So I'm going to rerun this, and it shouldn't really make a difference, but to solve the problem that we're having, I'm going to try 3 different solutions. It worked in another environment, so I'm going to do it for this environment. We shouldn't have any problem with our schema, but we'll rerun this just to be sure. Another student pointed out that I ran the 32-bit version of the schema extender. It shouldn't really matter if I run it with a 32-bit program or a 64-bit program. It should still extend my schema. And based on our log file, it did work. So I'm going to hold down Shift, right click here, hold down Shift, right click, open a command prompt here. I want to run that program again to see if it, again, I got successful just like I did last time. This time I'm using the 32-bit, 64-bit version. And again, the out file, it extended it just like it did before. So I'm going to also go into Tools, Active Directory Users and Computers. Here's what I noticed was wrong. I'm going to click on Advanced Features, go to the System folder, and then go down to System Management. Now, if I look at the properties here, I can see my Sccm machine has full control. This is where I think the problem is. When I go here and go to Properties, then under the Security tab, the Sccm machine isn't here at all. So I don't think it's inheriting the properties properly, the security permissions properly. So another solution I want to do is manually add the Sccm machine you don't have to do this. You can just type Sccm $, and give it full control. Again, I'm going to do the same thing for this object. Add a computer object. And give it full control. Something else that I noticed while I'm here, the domain admins do have full control. So another solution I want to try, and I don't know which one of these worked. If you want to try one at a time, that's fine. I'm going to go to the user container, go to the domain admins group, go to members, and I'm going to add my Sccm machine here as well. Click OK. And because I extended the schema, I'm going to reboot this machine. I'm going to go back to my SCCM machine. I'm waiting for the DC to reboot. So this is the problem. I shouldn't have this. So that's what we're trying to solve. Guys, also, after I run this for a little bit, my it starts running very poorly. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, cut the memory down on my SQL Server. I'm going to go to the SQL Server 2014 Management Studio. This is optional that you have to do this, but I just found we really don't need 4 gigs of memory. We'll try it with 2 gigs. And we're just wasting time anyways, waiting for the DC to boot. I'm going to go back to the DC and just sign in. Okay, while that's signing in, I'm going to go back to the SCCM. I'm going to sign into my SQL Server. Right click my server, go to Properties. I'm going to try that again. This is why I'm cutting down the memory. SQL Server didn't crash right there, just the management studios to connect to the server. Go to Properties, go to Memory, 2048. 2048. Close this out and reboot this machine. Don't reboot this until after the DC is up and running again. Reboot the DC first after applying those 3 fixes, adding the SCCM to the domain admins account group, adding the security permissions on the system management container, and extending the schema with the 64-bit program as opposed to the 32-bit program, which really shouldn't have made a difference. Okay, I'm going to sign back in. I'll launch the SCCM console. Want to go to administration. Sorry, monitoring, system status, site status, and it's still not fixed. Let me refresh this. Give it a minute. I'm going to pause this video. Okay, it's still not cleared up. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to go down to administration, expand site configuration, and go to servers and site system roles. I'm going to try to add another role to see if it clears up the other role that's not starting. Click next. And we're going to add this fallback status point. It's used for clients that when they can't communicate, it kind of gives them a place to communicate with the server. It really has nothing to do with what we're setting up right now, but we need to install this anyway. So I'm going to install this. Just walk through the wizard. Then click close. I'm going to go back to monitoring. Component status. All my components are running. So I'm not sure why we're getting that error message still, but I'm going to leave it run and leave it sit and bake for a while to see if it clears up the issue. We should be good now. I set this up on another lab, and the solution I tried the first time worked fine. So I'm going to leave this alone for a little bit, see if it fixes up the problem, because I think the issue's cleared up. I'm just going to let it try to work itself out. So I'm going to upload this video to the server, and I'm going to start the next video here in a little bit. Thank you.